Hello there, welcome to Face Off, your platform where we always get the two sides of the coin. I am Neota Igbe. Today we're looking at something that many of us would say is the cry of the masses. Indeed, for some, this is where their voice was heard. For others, they were a nuisance. People like our fathers, people like leaders respected, were members of such organizations like NADECO that many will say brought about democracy in Nigeria. It wasn't just NADECO. There were many other civil society groups that fought the fight for the people. People like Tai Solorin, the late Gani Fayemi. All of them were men and women respected for the things they did for the masses. But then the question is the civil society still what it is or what it used to be before? Are the civil society organizations fighting the good fight that they used to fight before? Have they lost their voice because they've been bought? Or have they lost their voice because they can't speak anymore? What is the reason for the silence of the civil society groups? They've been known to hold government accountable. They've been known to hold other leaders accountable for one thing or the other. Not necessarily government, but everyone in leadership has been held accountable by the civil society groups at one point or the other. But today, there seems to be a free-for-all fight just to survive. That is the thought of many people out there. But today we ask the question, government and civil society groups, where have they gone to? Who holds those in leadership accountable? And I have two guests to discuss this issue. One of them is an activist, Mr. Nelson Ekunjimi. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers.
And on this other side is a lady who is a PR consultant, Olumide Gbadebo.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Lady and gentlemen, I'm so used to having gentlemen here. It's good to have you. Lady and gentlemen, welcome. You know the rules of the game. So right now you'll be allowed 30 seconds for your opening statements. And since we always say ladies first, we'll start with Olumide. Sure. Your opening statement, 30 seconds.
Hello, everybody. Civil society existed in Nigeria long before independence. They did a good job in trying to fight for our emancipation, as it were. And from what I've read and heard, they did a very good job up till 1999. But looking at that time and now, civil society in Nigeria is a shadow of what it used to be. Like you said, everybody's trying to survive. And if you look at the definition of civil society, it's supposed to be a bridge between the family, the marketplace, and government. I don't see survival in that definition.
Okay, thank you very much. Nelson.
Well, thank you very much. I think for you to say the civil society have, like you're insinuating that they have gone to sleep, I think is unfair because we have always done our part. We have always held the government accountable, and the little sanity we still have left in our society today is because of the fear of reproach from the civil society groups by those in positions of authority. So in a way, we should, give them credit for still having a semblance of sanity in this society of ours. Because without the civil society holding the government accountable, I'm very, very sure we'll all be nowhere where we are today.
All right, thank you. Well, you heard the two of them with their opening statements. We will take a break, and when we return, they will begin the question and answer and debate proper. But our break is a soundbite from the streets. One of our reporters was out on the streets and he came up with this report.
I think most of them are handicapped because they have good intentions though, but funds and when the government is not really doing its work, you find out that the job for the civil society becomes larger, and you can't expect people with little funds to take on such large tasks. So I think it's if the government is really doing a lot in the society, then the work of the civil societies too will be minimized. So I think then they can really work more. They are meant to complement the government and not take over the job of the government. So I praise those that are still, in the course and are still trying to do their best, and they can do more. I believe they can do more, but I still believe government still has a lot to do in the country.
The civil societies, I really don't see them doing anything good. Yeah, basically, I don't see them doing anything good because the whole thing is still the same. There's no influence, actually. If there was actually influence, I think things would have been changing by now. Or maybe they're actually trying their best, and the upper hands, they are not doing their best, like, to succumb to what they want.
Honestly, as a person, I think we live in a shackled environment. I'm talking about particularly the Nigerian government. There's virtually no freedom of expression, so to speak, in all ramifications. That's the way I see it. And so when it comes down to these civil liberty organizations and civil rights movements, I think we have a long way to go, and the government has a fundamental role to play in this. As long as we have a government that attempts to suppress the populace, these organizations will continue to be subdued.
Okay, we're here. And we'll start with Olumide asking the first question. You are the one who says the civil society groups are not doing what they should do and all that. And Nelson, who is a member of a civil society group, believes they are doing what they came out to do. So you have the floor to ask your first question.
Okay. In your opening statement, you said the semblance of sanity we have in society today is as a result of civil society's activities.
Yeah.
Define sanity, please.
No, I mean, what I mean by sanity is that unlike what obtained in the past, where people get into positions of authority and feel that they can just ride roughshod over the people, because of the fear that any of the activities will be scrutinized by the civil society groups, they are now very careful with the actions, and this can be typified by the last fuel price hike protest that the civil society galvanized the society, to fight against. And you should also realize that the civil society are more of evangelists. Ours is to sensitize the people as well as call government to order. It is not left for the people to take the baton wherever we have carried it to, because we cannot force the society to change. We can only sensitize and mobilize them that, look, this policy that the government is taking is wrong. And mind you, we are not enemies of the state. We are for good governance and accountability. And if we are, if we are advocating on issues and people don't see it our way, we'll be handicapped. We are like the typical disciples that have been sent out onto the streets to go and evangelize. And that is what we are trying to do, and which we are still doing as at now. But that is not to say that we don't have our own shortcomings.
Well, did you listen to the people on the street
and
their comments?
Yeah, I listened to their comments. You listened
to that young lady that said...
Yes. That lady was, I think that opinion of ours is not correct. But we cannot take away the fact that we members of the civil society are also members of the Nigerian society.
Okay, in other words, you have to survive like the Nigerian
society. No, not really to survive. We are victims of the economic hardship. We are not only surviving. We are only trying to, in performing our own societal role, we have to
Did you hear that? They are victims.
I'd like
we are victims, yeah. Okay, we are victims of the society.
Victims. Okay.
Because everybody is feeling the pinch of what is going on. And don't forget, we members of the civil society have never come out openly to tell you that we are saints or that we are the messiahs. The only messiah that ever existed was Jesus Christ.
Okay, thank you.
We are mere mortals.
Okay, great. You said civil society is there to sensitize people.
Yeah.
Basically, raise awareness of what's going on in the polity.
Yeah.
But you just said that the lady who commented, that commentator, as far as I was concerned, that wasn't somebody who's been sensitized. So apparently, who's sensitizing her? They go on the streets of Lagos. People don't even know that there's a problem. As far as they're concerned, their greatest problem is what they will eat tomorrow.
Yes.
They don't see beyond their noses. And you're telling me there's civil society in this country.
Yes.
Sensitizing people, evangelists who are being pinched by society. Are we as pinched as Nigeria was in 1996, 1997? Can you compare that time to this time? Civil society was at its prime that time. Can you compare Nigeria now to Nigeria in 1959, 1949?
Okay.
The pinch was horrible. People were dying. People were being killed on a daily basis.
Okay.
Right now, it's not as terrible as that. Where is civil society, please?
As at then, the periods you are talking about,
Yes.
as at then, we had a common enemy. But now our people have been politicized. Our people are falling into different political camps. And don't forget that self-preservation
Yes.
is the first law of humanity.
Ah, I see.
Like the Yoruba say, ebi ole wonu, koro mi iwo. So when you see people talking this way, it is because of the fact that even if you are telling them about their rights and they are hungry, because one of the things we have always advocated for is that economic right is a basic right. Because if you are deprived economically, you have lost your fundamental human rights.
Exactly.
And why some people will come out to say this is because all that matters to them is their economic rights. How do I earn a livelihood? And
No, but you see, there's also a saying that when you know, knowledge is power. The truth of the matter is if a person knows that the cause of their hunger is their ignorance, then
Yes.
they will know that their ignorance is a bigger enemy than their hunger. And believe me, with that hunger in their bellies, they will go out and fight whatever it is that is their enemy. Hold on, please. Basically, civil society in this country, be whatever you would like to say, survive. I mean, seriously, how can you talk about survival? Is that what you're supposed to do?
We are
That's
not-
not what you're supposed to do. What you're supposed to do is to talk to people, help them to find the light, help them to find a better way.
Yes.
Not survive. These people are trying to survive. If civil society is trying to survive to them, what's the difference?
the whole society is living on survival, and the civil society is part of that. The civil society.
So
groups
then
are
there
part
is
of that
no civil society.
No, definitely there is, because where we are today, even as at now, where we are sitting here today, if not for the civil society, we wouldn't have the.
Okay,
Then
well,
where are we
let me
today,
ask. Let me
please?
ask a question
Yeah.
here. The civil society groups or organizations were like the voice of the masses.
Sure.
Are they still the voice of the masses?
Definitely.
Or they are now their own voice?
No, we are
because
still-
they are trying to. No, that's what you're saying. They are
No.
trying to survive.
What I'm trying to tell you is that whatever is happening to the civil society today cannot be divorced from the realities on ground. In as much as we have our own handicap, because we are also victims of the economic hardship. But that has not in any way limited us, in performing our own duties and responsibilities within our own limitations. Because like I said earlier on, we are not perfect. We are not saints. We have our own problems. We have our own shortcomings. But we will continue. It's just like the pastor who preaches on the pulpit. The man has never claimed to be a saint. But we always evangelize that repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
Even
Or
if nobody actually does. Even if he actually achieves nothing.
We'll
He just
continue
keeps
because we
chanting
cannot.
to no effect.
It will have effect, because even if it is one convert out of a million, we are definitely that one convert can get another convert. But mind you, we cannot force the people. Our duty is to sensitize
And do you
make them
believe civil
aware.
society is doing that?
Of course, we are doing that, and we are doing that effectively.
Really?
Yes,
Effectively?
effectively.
Okay, all right. On that effective note, we will take another break and we'll be back shortly. We'll take a commercial break. We'll be back in a moment. Please don't go away. Okay, we heard of such names like Ty Solarin, we heard of Gani Fayemi, we heard of many others, we heard of the Ogoni rights leaders, all of them from across the nation that fought to see that their people enjoyed the benefits that come from governance. In the days of the military, before the military, even in civilian rule, question remains, where are the people that were the offshoot of these great names we heard about? Question: governance and civil society groups, are they helping in any way? Are they holding government accountable? We were at an effective point when we went on break, and we're back. But do remember that you can also join us here, sending your tweets to @NeoTagbe or @FaceOff today. I'll take them as we go along. Okay, Olumide, we were at an effective point when we went on break, and I think he was saying something about being effective.
Yeah, that the civil society groups are very, very much effective. They are still doing their work. That is why we have a little bit of semblance of accountability in government. Like the last fuel price strike, you saw what happened, that the government, even though they had told us that there was no going back, they had to retrace their steps. And even though we were not happy with that, even till now, we are still agitating. That is why we have all these problems. If the government had been wise enough to listen to us in the first place, that the issue of subsidy was never in existence. It was all loose. It was wouldn't be in the mess that we are today, where government and Nupeng are at loggerheads over
I'm
subsidy
very glad
payments.
you mentioned Occupy Nigeria. Thankfully, I played quite a bit of a part. Then I
Yeah.
was pretty into it all. And I remember quite frankly that civil society pulled the carpet under our feet.
No, it wasn't the civil society.
No. I would at this point like to acknowledge that SNG gave us a podium at
Yeah.
our